So Star Wars The Last Jedi has been out for a little while now. I saw it on Saturday, I think, and I've spoken about it with my friends, and I've read what people have had to say about it, and I think I've had enough time to digest uh, the movie as a whole. Um, and I think I really like it, but at the same time, there's a lot wrong with it. Um, so I'm gonna go step by step through the film and say what I didn't like and what I did like, and talk about why it's so polarizing, because it has such a low score, audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, as opposed to quite a high critic score, which is weird. It's a reverse of Suicide Squad and Batman vs Superman and all this. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Obviously, there'll be a lot of spoilers in this, so if you haven't seen The Last Jedi yet, go and see it and then watch this, or if you don't give a shit, watch this anyway. I don't mind. So the film begins with the Resistance has to evacuate their base because the First Order have got a big ship and they're going to bombard the Rebel base, the Resistance base. Jesus. So Poe Dameron, the Han Solo type character from Force Awakens, he's got a plan to go up in an X-wing with BB-8, and he does a prank call to General Hux, and I didn't really like. I like the idea of that last resort is one guy up in an X-wing against these massive ships. It was visually interesting as well as kind of like funny. But then he did a prank call and he was saying please hold, and he was talking about General. Oh, that's my doorbell. So I think I'm saying that Poe Dameron does a prank call, and he's saying things like please hold, which doesn't really feel like it's something that someone in Star Wars would say. It felt like a real life thing, and I wasn't too sure about that. I didn't really find it funny, and it didn't really feel like a Star Wars movie. And the scene where he's flying around in the X-wing and he's blowing up all the turrets, whilst it was quite cool because he was too small to be targeted by their weapons or something like that, and it was quite a cool scene. It made the First Order look really unintimidating and just shit at their jobs. So right from the get-go, this is meant to be the Empire Strikes Back, where the heroes are at their lowest point, but the First Order are, from the start of the movie, they look really just bad at their jobs. And then a bunch of bombers get sent in, and it seems like only one bomber was needed because one bomber manages to do the job that they wanted to do anyway, because all the other ones die. So unless the other bombers were there as cannon fodder, which seems a bit weird, they really only needed one bomber in the first place. And then it goes to Luke and Rey. It's a scene from Force Awakens, and Rey's giving Luke his lightsaber, and he just tosses it over his shoulder, which I kind of, again, it's supposed to be funny, but I kind of like the idea of it being, it sets up the themes of the movie, which I'll talk about later. But yeah, it's this discarding of the past and the law and all this stuff, which I kind of liked. And then I think there's a bunch of scenes where Rey's trying to convince Luke, and I like those scenes. The scenes with Rey and Luke were really good. I like the idea of Luke shutting himself off from the Force and being this ex-Jedi. I thought that was pretty cool. I was going to go through this scene by scene, but I don't think I remember what comes next. I'll just talk about bits that I liked and didn't like from now on. I really liked the Rey, Kylo Ren, Snoke stuff. I liked the little Force visions that Rey and Kylo Ren have, and they were talking to each other. I liked that they sort of had a connection and they were sort of mirrors of each other, and Kylo couldn't really trust Snoke and Rey couldn't really trust Luke. I really liked that it was hinting that either one could go either way the whole time. Kylo is quite prepared to kill Snoke at any moment and go to the good side, and Rey is questioning whether what she's doing with Luke Skywalker is really worth it and whether she should be on the dark side and all this stuff, which I really liked. That was perhaps the most interesting part of the film to me, the Rey Kylo Ren stuff, and it annoyed me because in the end, Kylo Ren kills Snoke, and it's like, okay, cool. That was a surprise. He's a big villain of the past movie, and they just killed him. I didn't mind that. I thought that was cool. And then nothing. There's no consequence to that. So it ends. They do a big fight, and they're working together. And I was like, yes, this is cool. And then Kylo Ren says, Rey, let's team up. We can. The Sith, the Jedi, fuck all of that. And the rebels and the Empire, none of that matters. Let's do our own thing. Let's build our own empire and and it'll be half dark side, half light side, and it will be the best of both. Maybe, I don't know, but that seemed interesting to me. And then Rey says, no, I don't want to do that. I want to carry on fighting you as part of this good bad debate that's going to go on forever. And then Kylo says, okay, I want to be bad as well. And then it's exactly the same how the film started. Just it's dark side versus light side again. Which I didn't really like. It could have gone in an interesting direction then, with either Rey turning to Kylo's side, but not necessarily the dark side. It would be like a mix of both, or even Kylo just turned to the good side. Would have been a bit more interesting than nothing happening. They just both go their separate ways. But whatever. I really like the scene with Yoda, because my favorite scene in all of Star Wars is Empire Strikes Back, when Luke realizes Yoda is this Jedi Master for the first time, and he gives this big speech to Luke about how he's something about always looking to the horizon and never being here in the moment, and all this wise words from Yoda. I really love that scene, and this felt a bit like that as well. It was a similar speech, because I think he talks about how Luke is still looking after the horizon and all that, and also I like that, you know, Yoda, as Luke's about to burn all the Jedi texts, and everyone thinks Yoda's going to stop him because we've got to preserve these Jedi texts, and Yoda's just like, no, let's burn him down, and cast a big lightning spell on the tree, which I liked. I thought that was cool. It subverts a lot of things, this film, and it sort of doesn't really care about your lore and your nostalgia. It sets a precedent for the next movies to come. Similarly, I felt that the space nuns, the little creatures that live on the island, I think they were a metaphor for the Star Wars fans who don't like this new trilogy, because they're like Jedi. They're obsessed with the Jedi religion, and they're trying to preserve all the Jedi temple and all the buildings. And they don't like Rey. Rey even says that she doesn't think that they like her, and Rey's here blasting holes in the thing, and they're trying to build it back up. I liked it as a little metaphor for the people who update the Wikipedia articles and stuff like that. Things I didn't like, I didn't like Finn and Rose's plot in general. I didn't really like Rose. I felt that she was a bit of a non-character. She didn't really have much of a backstory other than her sister died, and she's a rebel engineer, I think, and that was it. And she used to work on the horse races on that casino planet, I guess. I don't really care about Rose. Also, I didn't really care for that plot. It didn't accomplish anything. They literally went to the prequel planet. The exact casino felt like something from the prequels. And it was basically Bespin. It's basically Han and Leia going to Bespin, and then they get betrayed, just like how they get betrayed by Lando. They get betrayed by Benicio del Toro with a stutter. And they do a horse ride scene. It felt like a DreamWorks movie. There was a lot wrong with it. There's so much. There was like loads of weird comedy sequences that felt like the prequels as well, where there's a little alien putting coins in BB-8, and it just goes on for really fucking long. And for some reason, BB-8 has like a machine gun for coins at some point in that film. How many coins did that guy put in? And why does BB-8 have a specific thing in him that can shoot coins? Also, they went looking for the Master Codebreaker on some casino planet, okay, whatever. They don't find the Master Codebreaker, but they find a Codebreaker, and they think, yes, he's good enough, he'll break us into the Empire's big ship, he can shut down a shield. He opened that gate of that prison, that must mean he can probably hack into a big Imperial spaceship. Same difference. I did like about that bit, the only redeeming bit of that is when the Codebreaker guy is looking in the ship of what this guy sells, and he's selling to both the Empire and he's also selling to the rebels, which I kind of liked. It it paints a grey area. Whereas Star Wars has been black and white before, this movie feels very grey, as in maybe the Jedi aren't so good after all. Maybe there does need to be a mix of dark and light, and maybe there does need to be an end to this war. Almost in the same way as in people seem to be black and white, as if you hate this movie or you love it. People like me and my friends and a lot of people were saying no, we both love it and hate it. It's a weird movie. It's hard to say whether you like it or not, because it's extremely flawed, but there's little bits in it that's so good, and it just makes you really want it to be a really good movie. But it kind of struggles. I didn't really understand why Admiral Holdo, Laura Dern, Diane from Twin Peaks, why she didn't just tell Poe the plot, her plan, because that would have saved so much trouble. It would have saved Poe sending Finn to this casino planet. It would have saved this big mutiny going on. I don't understand. And if it absolutely didn't need to tell Poe the plan, they could have explained it by Laura Dern saying, one, we're being tracked through hyperspace, so maybe there's a spy on board, could be you. And two, you're the guy who proposed this plan that destroyed like all of our bombers, in fact. That's all she needed to say. Like, I can't trust you that much because there might be a spy, and you're the one who did our bombers. Maybe you're an Imperial spy. That's literally, and then okay, yeah, I get it. That's what she's not telling him. But there wasn't a scene like that, which was quite annoying and frustrating. Another plot hole with Laura Dern's character is she decided to stay behind on the ship, much like Forrest Whitaker in Rogue One, for no reason. She says, I'm going to get on the ship and pilot it, but surely there's like an autopilot mode on this futuristic starship, and if not, can't you just set it in a direction and leave it go and fuck off and get out of there and save your own life? And then obviously there was a reason for her to be on there, because she had to crash it she had to go into hyperdrive, whatever, and crash through the Imperial ship. But that wasn't the plan to begin with, so I don't really understand what the deal was with that sacrifice. Just remembered as well, Princess Leia floating through space. She Mary Poppins their way back to the ship, and I don't know what to say. I get it. I get that Carrie Fisher's dead. I don't know. Was it before? It felt like it was added after, as like a send off for Carrie Fisher, because like she can use the Force now. This is her final moments, and that's what it felt like. Because oh my god, there's something to talk about this. So I thought that was Carrie Fisher dying. I thought Princess Leia died because she got blown up. She got blown up and she flew out the ship. And then I was like, oh, she's gonna fly back. Okay, it's weird, but whatever. And then she went into a coma, and I was like, okay, I get it. She got her last big scene doing the Force thing, and then she goes into a coma, and we don't see her again. She's just in a coma, and that's how they brought her out of the movie. Oh, but then she comes back. Then she forces down the door and comes back. So, and then at the end of the movie, she's the only fucking one out of the original trio of Han, Luke, and Leia. She's the only one that's still alive in the film, and she's the only one that's dead in real life. So I don't know what they're gonna do with Carrie Fisher in the next film. I guess we'll see. I really liked Luke's death. Actually, I liked Luke looking off at the twin suns, mirroring the New Hope scene, and then feeling like he was ready to die and just collapsing Obi-Wan style. Really like that scene. That was cool. This film also felt like it did actually have a director. So whereas J.J. Abrams made a solid movie with Force Awakens, it was good. It was solid. It did feel very like Disney-esque. It felt like there was a corporation behind it, like make a safe movie that's a lot like New Hope, but not too much like New Hope. This one does its own thing. It felt like they went, Rian Johnson, do whatever the fuck you want, write the script, direct it. And I admire that, and I admire Disney for taking such a big risk with this movie. And I also admire the fact that it's a Star Wars movie that has a message to it, a message of letting go of the past, which is what Kylo Ren says, even though he's a villain, which I don't get. But also Luke says it. I don't know what they were going for a message, but it felt so messily messily presented because all the characters are saying it, and you don't get a resolution to that. It would have been fine if Rey did join Kylo and that was the message, but then she says, no, that's wrong. But I thought the movie wants us to do it, so is it wrong or not? Who knows? But yeah, I did like the message. I like the ending with the kids, a new generation of Star Wars fans looking off into the distance, up into the stars. After playing that little Luke Skywalker's doll, they're now looking to, you know, the future and what's to come. I hate that people are on the internet are analysing who this guy is. Is this little boy Jedi? Oh my god, he's going to be the new character. No, he's not. He's not anyone, and that's the point. And we'll never see him again. Hopefully, if Star Wars understood what that, if Disney understood what me and that scene was. Yeah, if you think that kid is going to come back and be a mad Jedi, or you think that kid is Obi-Wan's son or anything, you've missed the point of the whole movie, because he's no one. He's a metaphor for real life. It's a very meta Star Wars movie, and it's a lot about real life and real fans of Star Wars. And that kid is the kids in the cinema watching it who now have their own Star Wars movies. That the old Star Wars movies felt like they belonged to some people. This new trilogy will probably belong to those kids growing up. Some of the cinematography was nice. The planet that wasn't Hoth, because it was salt. It's salt. It's not Hoth. That planet with the big red streaks and the white on the red. I really like that. I really like that the ships. They were quite interesting. But yeah, that scene was really nice to look at. The throne room was really nice to look at. There was some nice cinematography in this film. But then also there was sometimes weird CGI, like what's her name? Maz Kanata playing Quake, sort of, just going around on a jetpack like she was in a DreamWorks movie. And also the horse riding, the big alien horses, that looked really fucking weird. So all in all, Star Wars: The Last Jedi is what I'd like to call a beautiful mess. It's got nice cinematography. It's got a direction. It felt new and fresh, and it felt like a risk by Disney, and I like that, and I appreciate that, and I hope we get more stuff like that. But parts of it was executed badly. I like the message it was trying to do. I like what it tried to do. I really like the stuff with Rey and Kylo Ren, and I wish it went somewhere because it didn't. And I hope that J.J. Abrams tries to fix that and continue it on in this film, but I feel like it won't. I feel like it's going to just go back to destroying a super weapon and dark side versus light side again. But I guess we'll see. I recommend going to see this movie because it's an interesting one. I think it's the most interesting Star Wars movie we've had ever, maybe, because it's so polarizing and so. Is it good? Is it bad? Like it's I really like it, like the idea of the film in general. But yeah, I'm not going to give it a rating out of 10. Just I'll say go see it. Go see Star Wars: Last Jedi.